$80,000 in cash. The operations targeted human trafficking and illegal employment. And the root is returning to Black ownership. Political strategist and CNN commentator Ashley Allison is acquiring the site from GO Media. She says the move honors the root's legacy and meets the moment for independent Black journalism. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Your unstoppable future begins here. Mount St. Mary's University LA has a 100-year track record of elevating lives and careers. 2 campuses, undergraduate and graduate degrees. Discover how unstoppable you can be at msmu.edu.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers made quick work of the Cincinnati Reds. They eliminated the Reds from the National League playoffs with an 8-4 win Wednesday night at Dodger Stadium. Mookie Betts was 4 for 5 at the plate with 3 doubles and 3 RBIs. The Dodgers move on to the divisional round against Philadelphia. Game 1 is Saturday in Philly. The Rams are back in action tonight against San Francisco at SoFi. Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua leads the NFL with 42 catches and 503 receiving yards. After week 4 of the NFL season, one of the 5 African-American head coaches in the NFL is still looking for his first win. Aaron Glenn, in his first season with the New York Jets, is 0-4. The Jets' next game is at home Sunday, October 5th against Dallas. Pittsburgh's Mike Tomlin and Tampa Bay's Todd Bowles are 3-1. Atlanta's Raheem Morris is 2-2. D'Amico Ryan in Houston is 1-3. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Farm. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
Say what, yeah, girl, you know what's up, ooh, say what, ooh, girl, you know what's up, me and my people be rolling, stepping on you and your homies, the very first day of summer, all grown out in a Hummer, hit the park and parlay. Hope that your walk is away, cause you and your girl wanna ride, play all day, up on the line. Say what, you know that I like it, baby. Ooh, girl, you know what's up, and you know
Tavis Smiley, we've arrived at the final hour of today's program. What a great show it's been so far. We're going to close on a high note in this hour. 2 parts to this hour. On the back side of this hour, we will offer a tribute to Jane Goodall. The brilliant scientist. What an amazing career Jane Goodall had. Passed away yesterday here in California at the age of 91. As I said earlier, I don't see a disconnect between God and science, and I've always been fascinated by science. I flunked it. I never did well in junior high or high school. Well, I didn't quite flunk. I didn't do well in junior high or high school when it came to science, but I'm just a science lover. I'm just fascinated by these discoveries all the time. And Jane Goodall did some amazing work with these animals. Again, she passed away yesterday here in California while on a public speaking tour at the age of 91. Honored to have talked to her any number of times, this world-renowned scientist during my career. And we're going to reprise for you some of the sound from a 2017 conversation I had with Jane Goodall when her documentary Jane was released. So we'll close today's show on the backside of this hour with a tribute to Jane Goodall. But I'm pleased to welcome to this program now the actress and comedian Coco Brown, who has some upcoming shows in Vegas at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club. We'll talk about her career here in just a second. First, though, here's some sound from Coco Brown.
I think the biggest thing that we have now is that, people don't take relationships seriously anymore. People don't understand that relationships are work. You have to do maintenance on relationships. You have to treat a relationship like a car. You know what I'm saying? This is, you take a car in for maintenance. You get your wheels rotated, your oil changed, your windshield wipers. You know what I'm saying? You got to do that relationships. Some of y'all sitting here right now, you've been riding around for 3 years with your check engine light on in your relationship, and then got the nerve to get mad when they blow up on the highway. You got to put work into that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I miss the old school, man. Maybe I'm just getting old, but I remember being courted. What happened to men courting you? Men don't even know what the hell that is anymore, man. I asked a dude the other day, you gonna court me? He's like, I ain't got no cases. I'm like, you know what?
Coco Brown, it's been a long time. How are you? Coco, unmute that button. Come on.
I'm so
there you go.
So sorry. I thought I had hit it. Hey, how you doing, Tavis?
If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. You know me. I am doing well. How are you doing, Coco Brown?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there, man. It's been a heck of a 3-year journey, man. I'm like, woo. Yeah. But I'm on the other side of it. Thank God.
Yeah. Since you went there, I'm going to follow you. When you say a heck of a 3-year journey, you are referencing what specifically?
Well, 2022, I lost my dad. 2023, I lost my mom. 2024, I lost my house to a fire. So it's just been a lot, but, we've rebuilt, and we're in the new house now, and, just took that time to regroup. I took some time.
Yeah. No, we all need to take some time. And yet you said this, and I'm not at all being funny about this. There's nothing. I can't imagine losing your mom, your dad 1 year, your mom the next year, your house the next year. That's a lot. That's a lot to navigate. And yet the best of comedy has come from tragedy. So I'm not making a joke about this, but I am asking how, as a comedian who, again, know better than the rest of us how to navigate tragedy with humor, how have you navigated these last 3 years?
I mean, honestly, I've always said that, the last 10 years, the stage has been my therapist.
Yeah.
And I've been able to go on stage, 2 weeks after my dad died, I was on stage. 3 days after my mom died, I was on stage. I was on stage a week after my house burnt down. And it's therapy for me because it's able, luckily God has given me this gift to have impeccable timing and delivery. That I can take something pretty serious and make you laugh at it.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to do to get through all of this, and, definitely I always pick with Kevin Hart and say, honey, you ain't got the gamut on laughing at my pain, honey. You ain't got the chokehold on that, honey. We all laughing at our pain right now.
Yeah. Just getting started with Coco Brown. She's come a long way from Newport News, Virginia. Speaking of her mom and her dad, we'll talk in a moment here about how she developed this grown woman delivery and storytelling style, which she has mastered. We'll talk about that gift that God gave her, but she didn't realize the gift right away. She was in corporate advertising. I know her backstory. I know me some Coco Brown backstory. And I'm fascinated how you go from corporate advertising to the comedy stage. Just getting started with Coco Brown on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at kbla1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community focused. So just go to kbla1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. We've all had that epic rideshare experience. Halfway through the trip, you know their heartbreak, their career path, and they know your aspirations to go find yourself in Portugal. It's human. We're all looking for connection, for someone to listen. But sometimes the people we spill our hearts to aren't exactly equipped to help us through it. With over a decade of data-backed experience from helping millions of people, BetterHelp matches you with a therapist based on your needs and goals. No asking for recommendations or endless scrolling through listings. Simply answer a few questions online and you'll be matched with a therapist, often in as little as 48 hours. Join over 5 million people worldwide who've trusted BetterHelp for their mental health and well-being. Get a therapist who gets you. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABC Radio to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/ABC Radio.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach? Transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal? Prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with actress and comedian Coco Brown, who has some dates coming up in Las Vegas. We'll tell you about that in a moment here. Since you started talking about your precious mother and father, now dearly departed, I made the joke that this is you come a long way from Newport News. I get the sense, knowing your backstory, Coco, that when you were running around in Newport News with pigtails, you weren't dreaming of being a comedian.
Not at all. Not at all. You know, I went through a phase. I wanted to be a pediatrician, and then I laid eyes on Claire Huxtable, and I was determined to be Claire Huxtable. She was real to me, Tab. She was real to me. She was a goal. And then, you know, went to college and ended up going into advertising, working for Ringling Brothers Corporate, and got invited, you know, to a barbecue of a well-known comedian named Chris Paul that used to roll with Tony Simpson, and he invited me to his comedy club, and the rest has been history. I don't know. I never ever thought I would be Coco Brown.
Yeah.
You know, that was never on the agenda growing up.
Take me back to that club that night with Chris, and tell me what it was about what you experienced that night that pulled you in. Because here's what I'm asking. I love comedy, and all my friends know that I love comedy. Coco knows that I love comedy. I can do comedy shows every night of the week. I have such high regard for the gift that comedians have to make all the rest of us laugh at ordinary things. And I certainly respect the courage it takes to go up on stage to do this. So I love comedy. And yet, as many comedy shows as I've been to, I ain't never felt the pull to get up on stage. Now, I did a celebrity thing one time where there were a number of celebrities who are not comedians who did a type 5 set. So I worked with some comedians who helped me write my material. And one time and one time only, I did do a type 5, and people loved it. I did a type 5, but even doing that type 5, Coco did not pull me in. So take me back to that club that night. Here you are, a corporate advertising exec. You go to a comedy club and you're bitten by what? What happened?
Honestly, I'm gonna tell you, it fell in my lap because I realized that being in corporate might not have been for me. I realized I was a creative, and being in corporate where I had to do everything to a T, dot every I, everything had to be so precise. And I always knew I wanted something else. I didn't know what it was. And going on that, stage that night, I wasn't afraid of stage because I had been doing musical theater since I was in the 5th grade. My 5th grade teacher, shout out Miss Sandy Marshall, saw something in me and got me in all these plays and musical theater productions. And, I wasn't afraid of the stage. And it was funny because I thought I could do comedy. I'd seen Def Jam, I had seen Comic View, and I went on stage with my little type 5 and 3 in. They looking at me like I had 2 heads. All right. And I panicked. And I literally was like, you know what, forget y'all. I don't need y'all anyway. I work for the circus. And the crowd busted out laughing. And I said, oh, no, you think I'm jumping out of clown cars. No, see, I work for corporate, and the crowd is laughing. I said, see, y'all play too much. You think I'm a black woman, I got to be a clown. I ain't no clown. And I just really panicked. And then my 5 was over. And when I came off stage, I ended up meeting my mentor, Darcel the Fat Dr. Blejman, who had mentored Martin Lawrence and Tommy Davidson, Dave Chappelle, Donnell Rollins. And he said, you just discovered something that usually takes comics 10 years to figure out. And I said, what's that? And he goes, what's real is what's funny. Because I want to work with you. You got it. And he took me under his wing and taught me the game.
First of all, that's a great line. What's real is what's funny. What's real is what's funny. And I was laughing as you were telling the story because as you were telling it, I could see in that moment how you found yourself. So the crowd is not going with you, but you became Coco in that moment. Who you are,
really did.
Who you are just came out. And I take his point that what's real is what's funny.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I was up there trying to tell a joke. I called myself writing jokes. Like, I didn't know how to write a joke, but I thought I could. And I was there trying to do my material, which I didn't have. And when I realized they were staring at me, like I had 2 heads, I panicked and said, I don't need y'all. She work for the circus. And they looked at me and said, what?
Oh, that's funny. I can see that moment. You describe it so vividly. I can actually see that. So let me fast forward then from that moment where you discovered that what's real is what's funny. How then over the years have you developed this, I would just call it a grown woman delivery and storytelling? That's your thing. Coco Brown fans know that's what to expect when they see you on stage. How did you develop that?
Honestly, I got to give credit to my mother and my aunties. I had one of those moms that I could never go over anybody's house to spend the night. She kept me very close to her. So when she would go play pinochle with her girlfriends, I was in there and I was listening to grown women talk about grown woman stuff while I'm playing with some Barbies. And I was always told I was ahead of my time. I was way too mature. But I'm like, but my mother kept me around grown women all the time. So for me, developing Coco Brown, I will say in the beginning of my career, like that 5 years, I probably was a melting pot of every female comic I admired.
Yeah.
I hadn't found my voice yet.
And
in fact, Doctor told me that a real comedian does not find their true voice about year number 10. And I thought that was crazy, but he wasn't lying. Because around year number 9, year number 10, my material began to change. My presence on stage began to change. I became more comfortable in my skin and who I was. And that's how Coco Brown really came into play, because I'm like a melting pot of me, of who I am as I evolve into a grown woman, but also pieces of all my aunties.
I've said it many, many times on this program, and for that matter, in my career. that everybody starts out copying somebody until they find their own voice.
Oh yeah, honey, they was calling me a baby Monique and a baby Samore and a baby Simply Marvelous. And I knew I had made it when people were coming to me saying, "Girl, I just saw a baby Coco Brown."
Yeah, no.
And that's when I knew my voice was definitive.
Yeah,
because people were now trying to emulate me.
No, we all started copying somebody until we found our own voice. I've told this story many times. Al Jarreau, the late great Al Jarreau, who I love dearly, was honored to do the eulogy at his service. Wow. But Al told me one time years ago, Coco, I've never forgotten it, that as surely as each of us has a thumbprint that makes us uniquely different than anybody else in the world that God ever created, that thumbprint makes you uniquely different. Each of us also, Al said, has a thumbprint on our throats. You got a thumbprint on your throat, and you have to find your own voice.
Wow.
Some of the best advice I ever heard, man. And I've never forgotten Al Jarreau saying, you got a thumbprint on your hand and you got a thumbprint on your throat. You got to find your unique voice because yours is uniquely different than anybody else that God's ever created. I want to go back to this thing about this 10-year mark that you talked about. And this is Malcolm Gladwell, right? The 10,000 hours. Everybody needs 10,000 hours of practice before you become an expert at anything. The question is, if it takes you 9 or 10 years to come into your own in a field like comedy, how do you keep yourself going for a decade?
I've been blessed, but I constantly challenge myself to never do the same set twice.
Right.
I create on the fly. So every time I go on stage, whether it's an open mic and I'm working out new material or I'm in an arena with 30,000 people, I'm going to remix my own set. Because I've got probably, if I had to guesstimate, probably about 6 hours of material in my head. So it'll be 30 years I've been doing this next year. And so the amount of material in my head, and I can watch old sets of mine and go, ooh, I can revamp that to apply now. So I'm constantly creating as I go, so it never gets bored to me. I never get bored.
No, I love that.
So that's how, and then I know my voice now. So I know it's Coco Brown talking about this now.
Yeah. How do you retain all that in your head, Coco Brown?
I don't know if I can say it in the air, Tavis.
I didn't see that coming. I did not see that coming, Coco Brown.
Let's just say I did a lot of something back in the day, and I think it really helped with my memory.
Yeah, I'm with you now. I'm with you now. I didn't know where you were going with that, but
I'm like, I don't know if I can say it in the air. Let's just say,
yeah, I get it.
Put it on earth for us to use.
Hey, it's legal now. It's legal, so you can.
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
You can
and
go.
Now what's so funny, Tavis, I can't even do it anymore because I guess I'm confident in knowing my material. I don't know what it is, but the last time I tried to do that, which was about 15 years ago, and do that and go on stage, I was literally telling the jokes in my head, wondering why the audience wasn't laughing. I'm on stage like, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all a dead old crowd. They're like, you ain't saying nothing. So I said never again. So I haven't touched it.
Yeah, you got to know when to say when. You got to know when to say.
I took myself to my own rehab. That was my rehab right there.
What? Yeah, it's 30 years next year, and there are not a lot. There are some, but there are not a lot of Black women who can say they've been in this game for 30 years. To what do you attribute your longevity?
Being fluid and really capitalizing on all of my gifts and not being a one-trick pony. I write and I produce and I sing and I act and I write. I mean, I don't want to be a one-trick pony. And I think that's helped me keep my longevity. Plus, I'm a hustler. Like during the pandemic, when we were stuck in the house, Zoom, became my stage. And then I started like 3 businesses where I'm doing Instagram lives, promoting a business I started during the pandemic. So I had pivoted to something like that while I was still doing jokes. And then I get out the pandemic and I hit the ground running and my material's still fresh in my head after a year. Then I've got more material and I've got more merchandise that's on the road.
No, and then you got to have product, man. You got to have some product.
Absolutely. So
speaking of product, let me just pivot here just for a second back to something you said earlier. You talked about losing your mom and losing your dad, actually your dad, then your mom, and then the house, as I recall. That's the right order.
Yeah.
What is it like? How would you describe, and so many people, of course, have been subject to this, certainly here in Southern California, where I sit right now, after the fires here. And I've talked to a number of people, and I asked this question of everybody because I'm just fascinated, frankly, by the answers I get. So let me just ask you, since you went there. When your house burns to the ground and you lose all of the things that your memories are attached to. I mean, clearly it's in your head and it's in your heart. I ain't naive. I ain't stupid. I get that part. But when you lose all your stuff, the things that matter to you, your photos and your memorabilia, whatever else you lost in that house, how do you process that?
Well, I had to get out of my head about the material things. Because when I begin to think about what could have happened, that, I had just gotten in from the grocery store and my child was there by himself.
Oh, Lord.
And thank God I came home. And I was about to run back out to UPS, and thank God I didn't run right back out. And then to think that the fire started in my bedroom, my child's room is right down the hall. He's usually in that room on a Saturday, he was off for like a winter break. And he's usually in that room because he knows he doesn't have any schoolwork, that door closed with headphones on his computer. And that would have been right down the hallway from the fire starting. And the stairs are right by my bedroom. So he'd have been trapped. So when I think about all the things that could have happened, the material things just really don't bother me as much. There are things that I wish I hadn't lost, like my mother kept journals. And I was in the process of reading some of her journals because I was maybe going to write a book. And I lost all her journals. So I'll never know what she was saying over the years. And, my dad gave my mom a diamond every year that they were married. And she had all of them. And I kept saying I was going to put them in a safety deposit box, and I didn't. And I lost those. So the things that mattered to me that I lost was more so things that were attached to my childhood, my parents. But every time I would get in that rabbit hole of mourning the material, I would think about what could have happened and how God orchestrated it, that me and my child got out and our dogs and I think for me, it was just the bigger picture of what could have happened. And I'm just grateful that it didn't. Everything else can be replaced, or I'll just have it etched in my memory.
No, I just hate to hear that story about losing the stuff that connected you to your parents, though. I get it. You have a mature way, a spiritually evolved way of processing it. So that I respect. I got 90 seconds left. I'll give it to you. Tell me about your dates at the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club in Vegas.
Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club. Let me say, I was supposed to be there October 24th through the 26th, but Jimmy Kimmel wanted to do something on the 25th. So I will be there one night only, 2 shows, October 24th at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club. But they're bringing me right back Martin Luther King weekend for my entire weekend in Vegas. So that's 2 times you get to see Coca Brown.
October 24th, that's a Friday.
Yes, there'll be 2 shows.
And then again,
bringing me back the 15th to 17th of January, which is MLK weekend, to complete the weekend that I couldn't complete in October.
Make your plans now. October 24th, Friday. You can see, again, Coca Brown at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club in Las Vegas if you're headed that way or want to head that way. And then January 15th through 17th. You got more than enough time now to make your plans to go hang out with Coco Brown in Vegas for the King Holiday weekend. Coco, always delighted to talk to you. Thank you for your time, and you stay strong. All right.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for having me, Tavis.
My pleasure. Take care of yourself. Our tribute to Jane Goodall when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin has paused abortion appointments due to Medicaid cuts in President Trump's spending bill. Dr. Kristen Lyerly says Planned Parenthood had to make a choice.
They are pausing abortion care so they can continue to provide those other services. If they don't, the people who get services from Planned Parenthood have nowhere else to go.
The law blocks funding for clinics offering abortions, even for other services like cancer screenings and STI testing. Federal agents raided Chicas Bonitas Cabaret, a strip club in Dallas, Texas, arresting 41 undocumented immigrants and seizing $30,000 in cash. The operations targeted human trafficking and illegal employment. And the root is returning to Black ownership. Political strategist and CNN commentator Ashley Allison is acquiring the site from GO Media. She says the move honors the root's legacy and meets the moment for independent Black journalism. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Your unstoppable future begins here. Mount St. Mary's University LA has a 100-year track record of elevating lives and careers. 2 campuses, undergraduate and graduate degrees. Discover how unstoppable you can be at msmu.edu.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers made quick work of the Cincinnati Reds. They eliminated the Reds from the National League playoffs with an 8-4 win Wednesday night at Dodger Stadium. Mookie Betts was 4 for 5 at the plate with 3 doubles and 3 RBIs. The Dodgers move on to the divisional round against Philadelphia. Game 1 is Saturday in Philly. The Rams are back in action tonight against San Francisco at SoFi. Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua leads the NFL with 42 catches and 503 receiving yards. After week 4 of the NFL season, one of the 5 African-American head coaches in the NFL is still looking for his first win. Aaron Glenn, in his first season with the New York Jets, is 0-4. The Jets' next game is at home Sunday, October 5th against Dallas. Pittsburgh's Mike Tomlin and Tampa Bay's Todd Bowles are 3-1. Atlanta's Raheem Morris is 2-2. D'Amico Ryan in Houston is 1-3. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., inviting you to join me weekdays at 12 noon, right after Tavis Smiley, here on KBLA Talk 1580. As a law school graduate and a theologian with a firm grasp of our body politic given almost 2 decades in Congress, my show is the fresh new home of an authentic, uncompromised quest for transformation and salvation, both personal and collectively, as I vigorously interrogate the theological and symbolic meanings embedded in our society. I promise to leverage my knowledge of history, theology, and both international and domestic issues to imagine an inclusive vision for the future, which I hope will inspire all of us to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as a given, not just an aspiration. So join me weekdays at 12 noon right after Tavis Smiley for 2 hours of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
With Robinhood, not only can you trade individual stocks and ETFs, you can also seamlessly buy and sell crypto at low costs. Trade all in one place. Get started now on Robinhood. Trading crypto involves significant risk. Crypto trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Crypto LLC. Robinhood Crypto is licensed to engage in virtual currency business activity by the New York State Department of Financial Services. Crypto held through Robinhood Crypto is not FDIC insured or SIPC protected. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, a registered broker.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code COOL to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code COOL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code COOL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
We close today's program with a tribute to the world-renowned scientist Jane Goodall, who passed away yesterday here in California at the age of 91. She was, in fact, respected around the globe as an ethologist, conservationist, and humanitarian. I don't know about you, but I am altogether fascinated by science. As I said earlier, I never excelled at it in junior high or high school, but I'm fascinated nonetheless by science. And unlike too many these days, I don't see a disconnect between God and science. That's another conversation for another day. I spoke to Jane Goodall many times over the course of my career. Here's a clip from a 2017, not a clip, but some sound for the next 30 minutes from a conversation I had with her in 2017 when her documentary Jane was released.
Louis Leakey sent me to Gombe because he believed that an understanding of chimpanzees in the wild would help him to better guess how our Stone Age ancestors may have behaved. It had long been thought that we were the only creatures on Earth that used and made tools. And here was David Greybeard using a tool.
This documentary is so wonderful and so powerful in the story it tells about the family of these animals. But I want to start our conversation, if I might, by asking about your family. Tell me about your mom and tell me about your dad. I want to get this backstory straight.
Okay, well, my father, I didn't really know very well because when war broke out, World War II, he immediately joined the army. And my parents separated during the war, before the end of the war. So, but my mother was amazing. And I attribute the way she raised me to helping me do what I've done. For example, when I was born, I loved animals, apparently, from the very beginning. And when I took earthworms to bed with me, she came into my room and said, Jane, it looked as though you were wondering, how do they walk without legs? And instead of getting mad at me with all this mucky earth, she just said, they need the earth or they'll die. So we took them back into the garden. And she found books for me about animals. She thought I'd learn to read more quickly. When I was 10, I discovered Tarzan of the Apes, not the movies, because there was no TV back then, but a little book. And I just had saved up enough of my pocket money to buy it. And so, of course, I fell in love with this glorious Lord of the Jungle. And he married the wrong Jane, didn't he? So anyway, well, yeah, right?
He did, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, I decided then I'm going to grow up, go to Africa, live with wild animals and write books about them. Everybody laughed. How will you get there? You don't have any money. There's a war. And you're just a girl. But not my mother. She said, if you really want this, you're going to have to work really hard, take advantage of every opportunity, but don't give up.
There's a funny story that I read about when you were a child disappearing for hours and your family couldn't find you in the chicken coop. Tell. It's a funny story. Please tell
Well,
this.
it's a great story.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a real point to it because we've gone for a holiday on a farm, just Mum and me. And we lived in London, not many animals there. So cows, pigs, horses, no cruel factory farms. It was magic. And then I was given a job to help collect the hens' eggs. So they were meant to lay their eggs in these little wooden hen houses. I think there were about 6 of them. And apparently I began asking everybody, it was 4.5, where does the egg come out? I couldn't see a hole like that. And nobody told me. So what I do remember vividly is seeing this hen. She was brown and she was going into one of these hen houses. And I must have thought, she's going to lay an egg. Yeah. So I crawled after her. Mistake. Squawks of fear, she flew out. And again, I must have thought, well, this is an unsafe place. And I went into an empty hen house and waited and waited and waited. And the family didn't know where I was. And they even called the police on me. And I was gone more than 4 hours. And yet, when my mother saw this little girl rushing excitedly towards the house, instead of getting mad at me, she sat down to hear this wonderful story. So if you look back on that, isn't that the making of a little scientist? The curiosity, asking questions, not getting the right answer, deciding to find out for yourself, making a mistake, not giving up, and learning patience. It was all there, and a different kind of mother might have crushed it.
To your mother, who I'm fascinated by, and that's why I started this conversation by asking about your parents. What did you learn from your mother? What did you take from the way that your mother parented you into your own work that allowed you to be patient with these animals? Is there a connection here?
Well, I think the only real connection is that she encouraged me when I was a child. I spent hours outside and I watched the birds and I watched all sorts of animals. I can remember watching jumping spiders and spiders carrying their little egg things and watching birds waiting for them to hatch babies. And when I finally was invited to Africa, I had to work to save up money. I worked as a waitress around the corner, got to Africa, heard about Louis Leakey. He's the one who gave me the opportunity to study the chimps. But at that time, Tanzania was Tanganyika. It was the crumbling remains of the British Empire. And the British authorities said, a young girl on her own in the forest, absolutely not. But in the end, they said, well, if she brings a companion. So it was my mother who volunteered to come. She left England. She left her safe life. And she came with me to share an old ex-army tent. I was up in the hills every day. That was my world, my dream. Left her down with spiders, snakes, scorpions, a cook who discovered a very alcoholic brew made out of fermented bananas. The baboons were raiding the tent to try and steal food. She was amazing, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
Yeah. And I was so lucky. And it was really sad she left just before I saw that tool using.
I was about to ask you when she left, and you just answered that. How far into your work did your mother live to see?
Oh, she lived up until 2000.
Yeah.
So she saw it all, unfolding, and she was there when I got my PhD and a couple of honorary degrees. One journalist said to her, "Are you proud of your daughter?" And she looked at him and she said, "What would you say if I said no?"
I like your mom even more now. So there's the other thing about you that's always fascinated me, and just following you over the years and learning more about your backstory for this conversation and watching this documentary. You have always possessed a fearlessness, which on the one hand doesn't surprise me, because so often we see kids are fearless. But as we grow older, that fear starts to take over. It starts to reside in us. Why did that never set in for you?
Well, first of all, I felt I was meant to be there.
Yeah.
And there were moments when, when the chimpanzees lost their fear, they became very aggressive. So when you're surrounded by 8 large adult chimpanzees, all about 10 times stronger than me, hair bristling, looking huge, screaming at me, treating me as though I was a leopard, trying to hit me with branches. That was scary. But I just thought, well, if I pretend I'm not interested, I dug little holes in the ground. I thought they'll probably go away, and they did. So gradually they lost that aggressiveness and accepted me. And the interesting thing, the only time when I really felt fear of any animal was after I had my own baby. And if an animal approached, like when I was on the Serengeti and we were in the VW and an elephant came really close, before him I would have been so thrilled. Now I have this little baby, and it was an irrational fear, but a sudden change, which I find fascinating. It helped me understand why chimp mothers behaved the way they did sometimes.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Forum. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
With Robinhood, not only can you trade individual stocks and ETFs, you can also seamlessly buy and sell crypto at low costs. Trade all in one place. Get started now on Robinhood. Trading crypto involves significant risk. Crypto trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Crypto LLC. Robinhood Crypto is licensed to engage in virtual currency business activity by the New York State Department of Financial Services. Crypto held through Robinhood Crypto is not FDIC insured or SIPC protected. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities trading is offered through an account with Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
More now, my 2017 conversation with the legendary Dr. Jane Goodall, the scientist who passed away yesterday at the age of 91.
I want to ask something that's a bit politically incorrect, and we've had these conversations.
I like those.
You like those? Okay, well, good. You like this one then. We've had this conversation ad nauseum, ad infinitum in this country, and I want to get your take on this. Because I think there's something to it. There are some people in this country, certainly this is the sentiment of not all, but certainly many people of color, certainly African Americans, my own people, who find it sometimes annoying is the nicest word I can use, when it appears that certain human beings care more about animals than they care about other human beings. And we see that it's not just a political reality. It's a life and death reality where people will defend, they will fight for, they will protest, they will raise money for all kinds of animals, but they don't seem to have that same love, that same respect for humanity, and particularly if humanity looks a little differently than they do. So you love politically incorrect stuff? There's one. Take it away.
Okay. Well, for me, when I went to learn about the plight of the chimps in Africa, I learned a lot about what many African people were facing living in and around the forests of the chimps. And I flew over the little Gombe Park where I did my research. It was part of a great forest. I looked down from this plane. It was a tiny island surrounded by completely bare hills, more people living there than the land could support, overused infertile farmland, trees on the steep slopes cut down so there was terrible erosion, streams getting silted up, people struggling to survive. And that's when it hit me. If we don't help these people, there's no way we can even try to save the chimps. So that's when the Jane Goodall Institute began our program, Take Care, Tukari, to help the people, not a bunch of arrogant white people marching into a village and saying, well, you've made a mess, so this is what we're going to do. No, a team of Tanzanians. They didn't even have PhD between them, but they'd been working in NGOs in forestry, education, health. And they asked the people in the villages around Gombe, what can we do to help you? What would you like us to do? And that's where we began. And then we could introduce water management programs. Then we could introduce microcredit for women and scholarships to keep girls in school, family planning. And it's been so successful. We're now in 52 villages and in 6 other African countries. So we don't separate. We help people and chimpanzees. Our youth program, Roots and Shoots, isn't just an environmental program for young people from preschool through university. It's a program where the young people themselves decide together on 3 projects, one to help people, one to help animals, one to help the environment we all share. And it's a funny thing. There's an awful lot of people on this planet. And it's lucky that there are some people who want to help people and some people who want to help animals.
Why does Tavis say, when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. Forward.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Forum. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada. Member FDIC.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
The remaining moments of our tribute to Dr. Jane Goodall, who passed away yesterday here in California at the age of 91, sounds from a 2017 conversation with her.
The first place I set foot on African soil back in 1957 was Cape Town, and it was beautiful. But then we had 2 days on shore from the ship, and I went into a park, and they took me into a hotel. And on all these seats and the doors of the restaurant was some Afrikaans. And I said, what does this mean? It's everywhere. White people only. I was shocked. I hadn't been brought up like that. I don't know if Nelson Mandela was already in Robben Island prison, but I wanted to leave. I couldn't understand it. And my earliest memories of after the end of World War II, with the Jews, bodies, corpses, skeletons coming out of the concentration camps, the death camps. And so I've learned from the beginning the dark side of human nature. And the chimpanzees also have a dark side. But we have so much love and goodness and compassion. And there are so many people fighting to make things better in this planet. So I'm trying to concentrate on all the good things going on, the wonderful people, the great projects, and share those, because if people lose hope, we may as well give up.
Absolutely.
And there's so much doom and gloom. We need to have some shining lights to keep us going. So we go on fighting for what's right.
You are one of those shining lights, to be sure. As I sit and listen to you now, there are two questions that come to mind. One is, of all the things that you have done, and obviously full of energy at this age and still doing it, is there, maybe an unfair question, is there something amongst all of that work and witness that brings you the greatest joy? And the flip side of that is, after all the years of doing what you have done so beautifully and so well, what still vexes your spirit the most?
Well, what brings me the most joy is two things, really. And one is being by myself out in nature, preferably a forest, but nature, just to feel part of the great scheme of things. I have this sense of a great spiritual power, and it gives me strength. The other thing is being with my friends, having a glass of wine or a little tot of whiskey, which actually is really good for the voice, by the way.
Thanks for telling me. That's what I've been missing out.
Yeah, you have.
Okay.
You have. And at the end of the day, and just relaxing and talking, and sort of, yes, you get gloomy, but then you bring it all up again. And the other question, I think what gives me the most angst is there's still so much cruelty. And I remember at the end of World War II, after the Holocaust, we said never again, but it's happened again and again. And that's why I'm so passionate about our youth program, aiming for a critical mass of young people who understand that we need to break down the barriers between people of different nations, cultures, religions, and between us and the natural world, and who understand that life shouldn't be just about making money, just about attaining power. It should be about family, friends, having enough to live on, but not so we need money to live, but we shouldn't live for money.
Are you hopeful in the young people that you see in Africa and around the world that dream is possible?
Yeah, it is. The young people, my greatest reason for hope, various reasons for hope, but the young people, what they're doing right now in 100 countries with 150,000 groups of all ages, choosing, we're listening to them, they're empowered, they're taking action, they know they're going to make a difference, and they know they are making a difference. Every single day, every single one of us makes some kind of impact, and we can choose what kind of impact we're going to make.
Dr. Jane Goodall passed away here in California yesterday at the age of 91. What a life well lived. She leaves behind a grand legacy. That is our program for today. Tomorrow, the best of Tavis Smiley. Until then, thanks for tuning in. And as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin has paused abortion appointments due to Medicaid cuts in President Trump's spending bill. Dr. Kristen Lyerly says Planned Parenthood had to make a choice.
They are pausing abortion care so they can continue to provide those other services. If they don't, the people who get services from Planned Parenthood have nowhere else to go.
The law blocks funding for clinics offering abortions, even for other services like cancer screenings and STI testing. Federal agents raided Chicas Bonitas Cabaret, a strip club in Dallas, Texas, arresting 41 undocumented immigrants and seizing $30,000 in cash. The operations targeted human trafficking and illegal employment. And the Root is returning to Black ownership. Political strategist and CNN commentator Ashley Allison is acquiring the site from GO Media. She says the move honors the Root's legacy and meets the moment for independent Black journalism. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Celebrating 100 years, Mount St. Mary's University LA is dedicated to moving your life and career forward. Earn your undergraduate or graduate degree and become unstoppable. Find out how at msmu.edu.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers made quick work of the Cincinnati Reds. They eliminated the Reds from the National League playoffs with an 8-4 win Wednesday night at Dodger Stadium. Mookie Betts was 4 for 5 at the plate with 3 doubles and 3 RBIs. The Dodgers move on to the divisional round against Philadelphia. Game 1 is Saturday in Philly. The Rams are back in action tonight against San Francisco at SoFi. Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua leads the NFL with 42 catches and 503 receiving yards. After week 4 of the NFL season, one of the 5 African-American head coaches in the NFL is still looking for his first win. Aaron Glenn, in his first season with the New York Jets, is 0-4. The Jets' next game is at home Sunday, October 5th against Dallas. Pittsburgh's Mike Tomlin and Tampa Bay's Todd Bowles are 3-1. Atlanta's Raheem Morris is 2-2. D'Amico Ryan in Houston is 1-3. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Forum. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
Jr. Show, KBLA Talk 1580. It's Thought-Provoking Thursdays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. In our first hour, Worldwide with Dr. P.L. De Silva, and in the second hour, it's the World House with Johnny Mack. From the local to the global, change in Harlem, the federal shutdown, European views of America, Finland. Tune in today with Dr. P.L. De Silva, who has over 20 years of experience in backroom diplomacy, mediation, and negotiation. He has taught politics, international relations in several graduate and undergraduate programs at universities in New York, New Jersey, Long Island, and Queen's, University of Belfast in Northern Ireland. Dr. De Silva's publications include Postmodern Insurgencies, Political Violence, Identity Formation, and Peacemaking in Comparative Perspective. And also joining us in this hour with PL on Worldwide with PL De Silva is James Felton Keith, award-winning mechanical engineer, labor economist, and social entrepreneur. Most recently, he founded Inclusion Score, a venture-backed insurtech and lecture on inclusion insurance at the University of Georgia's Terry College of Business. As an enterprising international relations leader, he established the first international diversity and inclusion standard under ISO 304152021. This effectively reshaped the commercial insurance and underwriting to incentivize organizations across 163 nations to be culturally inclusive by connecting their employment insurance to an inclusion score. Dr. De Silva, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse. Looking forward to a healthy conversation with everything that's going on around us.
Oh, you can count on that with our very special guest, James Keith Felton. Mr. Felton, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good to be here, guys. I loved hearing the commercials before and everything going on everywhere else. It makes me want to get outside and, do something.
It is the right reason to be on KBLA Talk 1580, and I'm equally as excited. Dr. De Silva, why don't we get started with a change in Harlem?
Yes. So the issue is that there seems to be inertia among the Democratic Party, faithful who need to take on the Trump administration. And that is why we are supporting James Felton Keith to become a new Congress member for Harlem so that we can go past the do-nothing Democrats.
JFK, James Felton Keith. Now, it's Felton, not Keith, correct?
Yes, yeah. Felton is just a middle name. I wish I had one of those sexy hyphens in the middle where I could, in either direction, in the James side or the Keith side. But yeah, truth be told, I have too many first names, and that is a real thing. And years ago, some of the activists here in Harlem were like, look, we're just going to call you JFK, because they couldn't remember whether it was Keith at first or James at first. And every now and again, it was Felton. And so I thought it was weird. And then I was like, I sound like an airport or a dead man, but it stuck. So we're here. Yeah, JFK in Harlem and just James everywhere else. Yeah.
They ain't wrong for that. Let me, we have just about a minute and a half before we come forward. But I do want to say this. When I got elected to Congress, I never wanted to distance myself from the name Jesse Jackson.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. I wanted to distinguish myself.
Yeah.
I wanted to differentiate myself. I went to work every day to cast votes on behalf of people in a congressional district. Yeah. And I know you don't want to necessarily distance yourself from the Democratic Party, but you'd like to distinguish yourself. You'd like to differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
James, what makes you different?
Sure. I think outside of my work history and our industry's activism, it's really, and to be clear, I've been a registered Democrat. I'm an elected member of the New York Party. Right now, I was one of the people who wanted our former governor, Andrew Cuomo, to step down. And he did. We were successful back then. But what I've been searching for in my work and how I met, P.L. De Silva, was really a solution to tie our lives and the intrinsic value, at least that I believe that comes from our lives and our participation in the world, to our economic status quo. And I think in the past few weeks, but really built on about 20 years worth of activism and research and lecturing and corporate work. I think we've found that economic issue that Democrats have been in need of to really solidify their economic populist message. And so what I like to call our core philosophy in our campaign is inclusionism. I think it's a natural evolution of what we've seen capitalism do and what we see in the rise that we now see from, at least in America, what we call democratic socialists, or in Eastern Europe, what will be known as the social democrats. But basically people looking for lower cost of living via, standard needs in housing, healthcare, education, but also a rise in incomes. I think we have a new method to articulate how we bring incomes, not just wages, but incomes for every American up to par with the productivity that we see in the economy. So,
James?
Yeah.
We're going to take a break right here. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, we're going to spend some real time with James Felton Keith. He's running for office out of the state of New York, running for Congress, and he's a different kind of Democrat. And we're going to talk about those distinctions. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More when we come forward with P.L. De Silva, when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate, with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless, for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Forum. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. show on KBLA Talk 1580. In this hour, Dr. P.L. De Silva is our host. He oversaw training programs for practitioners serving combatants, non-combatants during Sri Lanka's civil war. He's an experienced director with a demonstrated history of working in think tanks, industry, and academia, the United Nations, political and military affairs, and the private sector. And our very special guest today is John Felton Keith via the Keith Institute. James has authored and edited multiple books, including Inclusionism, his biopolitical philosophy, which is at the forefront of international relations and diplomacy. As an organizer, his data unions redefined the labor movement and people's personal data as the natural source driving all corporate productivity. He co-founded the Ethics in, I just lost that. Keith, welcome forward. James Felton, Keith, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you.
And Dr. De Silva, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you so much, Jesse.
These iPhones are so sensitive. I hit my bio and it just disappeared. Anyway, we'll come back to that in just a minute. Let me go back to this question of differentiating. As you know, Brother Felton, Keith, I served in the Congress for 17 years, and I served with Bernie Sanders. I've served with Democratic Socialists. I never had the privilege of serving with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but I do understand Democratic Socialism. I'm a seminarian, right? I studied Jesus of Nazareth. I believe he probably was very close to being a Democratic Socialist without the democracy. Democracy was not available to him, but certainly his universal message of care for the poor and standards of living mattered, right? So I've advanced the idea when I was in Congress that to avoid all of this socialism talk and being called a communist and identifying with Michael Harrington.
And we have to think about that, on our side.
All of that, I got it. Why not just fight for universal American rights, amendments to the Constitution of the United States on the values that the American people deserve? All citizens shall enjoy the right to a public education of equal high quality. All citizens shall enjoy the right to health care of equal high quality. All citizens who have noses have a right to a clean, safe, and sustainable environment. All citizens who need shelter have a right to decent, safe, and affordable housing. When I entered Congress in 1995, Newt Gingrich had dozens of constitutional amendments. Balance the budget, take this from the Negro people, take this from the Indians, all kinds of constitutional amendments, but no economic-based amendments that could restore every American's faith in the Constitution itself. I'm not going to dominate this program. James, Felton, Keith, Dr. De Silva, it's yours. But James, I certainly want to hear from you this new vision that you have.
Well, I think it is specific to PL. I don't know if you were, okay. I know how the cadence went, but no, look, I agree. I think the reason we can't deliver those universal, equity and inclusion principles is because in this country, we will differentiate based on class, gender, race, you name it. I mean, in the salad bowl society that we live in, we have to often validate the most disenfranchised people's existence in order just to be included at all. And I'm with you. Like, I remember when you got in Congress, I was one of those kids that Bill and Hillary were calling a super predator at that time. Right? I came out of high school in 99. And now in my mid 40s, again, I've spent the past 25 or so years trying to think about how do we codify and validate people's inclusion into the normal economy in a way that is more rooted in markets than the old language of socialism. Right? So like not just making it a function of government, but making it a function of property distribution. And so I know we're only, a few minutes till break, but I'll set the table here. I was just in Eastern Europe, I was just in Denmark. I was just in Finland. I was just in Estonia briefly to see a Russian prison down there, a former Russian prison. But we did something really interesting there that I've been advocating for about the past 15 years. And when I started, they laughed at me and said, we'll never do this. You're too American. And now they're doing exactly what we were asking to do 15 years ago. I went to Denmark a long while ago, and I asked them to create a property right around people's personal data, because it could be the most micro asset that we could give people ownership of to distribute value through. Right. So every company that we're aware of on the planet, in Chicago, in New York, elsewhere, uses input from individuals, whether they're employees or consumers, to generate one of two things: products, things you can touch, and services, things you can't touch. And our regular flow of information about us makes the production of those goods cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Now, when I was talking about this in 2005 or 2015, people didn't really get it. But when AI became a real thing about 36 months ago, everyone said, I get it. I feel like something is being taken away from me. I just don't know how I get it back. And so when I look at this economy, to put in a context what we were arguing back in 95, again, also in 05, 2015, and now in 2025, the economy is 200 times as productive as it was 50 years ago or my whole life. But wages haven't risen at all. I think that balance and how we bring economic productivity back to where working people was, because when Eisenhower was president, productivity raised at the rate of wages. So now we have to figure out an equity stake separate from wages. And we have to make all Americans and all people, all Europeans, all Africans, all Latin Americans, you name it, property owners in the micro productivity that we see from the normal economy. And I'm not just talking about Google, Apple, and Facebook, right? I'm talking about every company that makes any type of product or service in 2025 makes it on the information that you give it about yourself as a consumer. It has changed macroeconomics. It has changed microeconomics. And as a labor economist, I'm running for Congress because I do not feel like or think, forget feelings for 2 seconds, that our current incumbent even understands the modern economy to make an argument for what the people in our district are owed. I think it's just time. So that's the big differentiation. I think I know how to get money back in people's pockets. I've not been a politician for 35 years. I've been working as an engineer and an economist for 35 years. And now it's time to tell a new story about what we're owed and what we're worth. And when I say you're valuable, I mean it as a factual thing, not just as a spiritual thing. I mean, I can show you on a piece of paper with a number exactly what you're missing out on. And just perspective here in this country, we're missing out about $2.3 trillion a year. That if we spread across the working adults in a blanketed way, even if we call it a universal basic income, will be somewhere at around $12,000 to $15,000 extra dollars per year, which is around about what we don't have to pay our rent, our health care, and our education costs. That's the real difference. In New York, Chicago, and Detroit, you name it.
One of the things I love about KBLA Talk 1580 is this is real talk radio. And fortunately, this is our longest segment, which has a hard stop at the 30, and then we come back for 2 more breaks. PL, why don't you pick it up from here?
Yes. So James is fighting the good fight in Harlem, to get into Congress, to make a difference, and all power to him. And we support him as we support you, Jesse. The thing that we also need to talk about is what's happening right now. We are 2 days into a national federal government shutdown. And I'd like to get thoughts from James Felton Keith, from our own JFK, as to the implications of that for the people of America, the peoples of America.
Yeah. Look, this is hands down MAGA and Donald Trump's shutdown. I don't think that, Hakeem is a frat brother of mine. Love that guy. I don't think they should blink for a second on what this shutdown is going to do. But what we will need is a coordinated effort by state and municipal electeds to coordinate the flow of funds to prop up regular civil services. So all that housing, healthcare, and education stuff that the federal government is going to stop paying for or stop funding right now, governors in blue states. So that's, us. We have a block over here going all the way up through Massachusetts. That's, Illinois, it's California, Washington, Oregon, etc. But governors are going to have to leverage their state's budget to make sure that people in the most populous cities and the most progressive states around don't lose regular services. I think we need to be prepared to be in this for the long haul. I think we may beat the 30-day record because Republicans don't believe that we should be citizens. And they don't believe that we should have access to the regular services, the 0th level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs that their same folks get. So I think this is their shutdown, and I think we need to be aggressive in holding the line, because if we let their bills go through, we'll have something similar to a shutdown regardless. But there'll be no fight. So this is about being available to die trying instead of just saying, if we're safe, if we let them go, we'll get past the bad branding. We need to be more communicative constantly, all day, every day.
Agreed. PL?
Yes. So the thing is this, it's not just only here in the US. Globally, there's an impact as well. because the US is not going to be paying its bills. It's not going to be engaging. So you can look at the things from peacekeeping missions, from humanitarian relief, from development cooperation, from diplomatic engagement, and global financial markets. There's going to be market volatility. There's going to be weaker investor confidence, and the risk level is high on that. And also with humanitarian relief, it's high. Peacekeeping missions, it's high. So these are things that we all need to be cognizant of. It's not in the goldfish bowl that President Trump is putting his fingers into. It's also outside of the local and the national to the global.
Yeah.
These are the things that we need to be fully aware, that your viewership needs to be aware. We can't surrender quietly. We simply cannot. Absolutely not.
James, let me ask you this question. What are you hearing on the campaign trail about the bread and butter issues? I remember campaigning for Kamala in a number of swing states, if you will, Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania. And when I went into the red counties, I even spoke in Gettysburg. Imagine that, outside of the major Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. I went right into the rural counties.
Yeah.
These bread and butter issues and some of these hot button social issues really dominated the commercials when my truck broke down in Harrisburg. And I'm sitting in a lobby of, all Pennsylvanians in Harrisburg. And, they're not even reacting to the football game. They're reacting to, can you believe, Mike, we should not be able to use the restroom with the same people who use the restroom here? And I mean, they were like animated by it. It was bigger than the football game.
Yeah.
James, what are you hearing on the ground in terms of bringing Americans together to change the nation's trajectory into the route you believe it should take?
I mean, as far as the social issues regarding bathrooms, I don't hear as many of those. The main social issue I hear is around childcare. So I think the big three that I always get back are housing, healthcare, and childcare. But healthcare is really, childcare rises up to the top of that category. So I'm normally hearing those. I do think in redder districts, right, they're hearing about how the others are coming and whatever, clogging up their bathrooms, etc. With regards to coming together, I think that the economic issue, when I talk to people about how to get more money in their pockets, because I think they assume that the others, whether it's trans people in the bathroom, whether it's Black people in the corporate room, whether it's women getting more jobs in them, when I talk to people about rising their incomes, they seem to be most intrigued by that conversation than anything else, because I think everyone is fearful. And that's the key word. They're fearful that someone else is eating their lunch, when it's not the case. It's really, Donald Trump trying to stop the lunch truck altogether. So it always comes back to the economy. And I think we need to have a better message around what people are owed. I mean, our campaign slogan is "We owe us." It's two-pronged. It could be looked at as economically about what we're actually owed, but really what we're saying is we owe it to ourselves to have conversations with each other to quash the fear. Because everyone is sitting here a little bit more broke than they were before the pandemic. And that's really where all this is coming from. If everyone was comfortable, we wouldn't even care about who was in the bathroom.
Peel, I'm loving this candidate. I'm loving these issues, and I'm loving the clarity that he's bringing to the national debate. Peel, we have about 30 seconds before we have to come forward. Some quick thoughts before we come forward after the break.
Right. So in the old days of solidarity politics, 70s, 80s, right? Unity is strength. And that's what I heard you say, Jesse. We need to stay united in order to overturn this administration. We need regime change in the United States of America. That's what we need. And for that to happen, we have to have unity in struggle.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580 more with P.L. DeSilvia and James Felton Keith.
The biggest names. The best conversations. You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Teeny S. week with BIN News Now. The black former Des Moines, Iowa school superintendent Ian Roberts, who was detained by ICE last week, sparking a huge protest, is now in federal custody. This is what that protest sounded like last week. Roberts' attorney says Roberts took care of all his immigration paperwork earlier this year. Well, it's day 2 of the government shutdown. As both sides try to negotiate a deal, Democrats say they want Medicaid cuts reversed, while Republicans say they don't want to strike a deal until the Democrats open the government back up. Finally, Janet Jackson adding a new milestone. The singer has a feature on Cardi B's Principle. The song debuted at 92 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. For Janet, that means she joined Cher and Madonna as the only women to have new Hot 100 hits in 5 different decades. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Celebrating 100 years, Mount St. Mary's University LA is dedicated to moving your life and career forward. Earn your undergraduate or graduate degree and become unstoppable. Find out how at msmu.edu.
This is GBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life?